Hi everybody, I'm Jack and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. Well, my day's starting to wind down here on the mountain. I'm actually shooting this on Friday afternoon. If I remember the time right, it's about 4 o'clock. And this is probably the last thing I'm going to do today before I call it a day and head to Netflix. And I've also got a nice big meal waiting on me. I'm making Lissa's Raw Food Romance. I'm making her pad thai for dinner tonight. So anyhow, I wanted to talk about why you aren't succeeding on the raw vegan lifestyle. Now I do videos like this every day, similar videos. Sometimes I go a little bit off topic on the weekends and get into different subjects, but mostly I do these and I do them every day. So if you're not already subscribed to the channel, I'd love it if you'd go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And when you hit it, click on the little bell and check send notifications so you will stay subscribed to the channel. Why you aren't succeeding on the raw vegan lifestyle. And once again, I always throw this little disclaimer in because I figure it kind of twists somebody in the head. Somebody will be waiting to say, well, I don't want to be raw vegan. Well, then why would you be watching a video on becoming raw vegan? Or at least you have some interest in the subject. I'm not saying, got a lot of people that watch my channel that aren't fully raw, that aren't even all that high raw, but you take what you can take. But I'm talking specifically to those today that are trying to be raw vegan. And it goes back to some of the same stuff I preach over and over and over. And I'm not going to change my message. You know, I think about that sometimes. I analyze my channel because I do a lot of, like geeky stuff, analytics and stuff on YouTube. And I do try to use like the best practices possible to grow my little channel a little bit. And I know I could go a lot bigger if I did certain things, like if I did more recipes, if I talked about the science ad nauseum, I could get more. But the reason I don't do that is I'm trying to fill a gap. Might be a crazy old man trying to fill a gap, but it's about the process. And that's why I'm always harping on the process and the psychology of it. I know you love those recipe videos and people just, there's a certain number of people out there that they're just kind of recipe fans. You're not going to get to being raw vegan. You're not going to get to where you want to be with another recipe. You know, it's not, some of you out there, I know you got to have 200 recipes that you've copied because you're always asking for them, you're watching them. The same with the science. The science is out there. I don't even, like I say, we don't need to ad nauseum keep beating, like there's plenty of videos out there, there's plenty of books out there, there's plenty of resources out there. That's why I try to hone in on the process, on the psychology of this thing, on human behavior, which controls most of what we're doing. And the bottom line is people aren't satisfied on this lifestyle, once again, because it goes back to lack of patience. Everybody wants things quick. We live in a society today where we want it now. With the internet and everything happens really rapidly. If you grew up back when I grew up, things moved a little bit slower. And you weren't used to getting every single thing, just rapid fire. Well, when it comes to the food, people are just not like committing to the process. They're not committing to the process by the fact that they're not doing proper transitions. So many people out there, we're always talking about transitions. I make transition videos. Tons of people make transition videos. There's just infinite amount of stuff about the transition out there, yet most people don't put a whole lot of thought into their transition. They're just kind of stumbling down the road willy-nilly. They just say, hey, I want to be raw vegan. They don't have a plan. They don't really plan out their transition. They don't have a process, and everything is in that process. I have come to, in everything in life, like everything is about the process. I don't give three shits about the results. I've gotten to where I focus and hone in just on the process. And I just let the chips fall where they may. I trust if I follow the process, I'm going to get the sort of results that I'm looking for. But people just don't want to do that. And a lot of the reason is people can be impatient is, look, it's almost like you're a drug addict when you come to this. If you've been eating the standard American diet for 30 years, your senses are corrupted. Most specifically, your taste buds are corrupted. So you need to put all this stuff. You need to put the MSG and a lot of salt, and you need oil, and you need this to give it a little flavor, and you need that to give it a little flavor. And yes, if you're full on eating the standard American diet right now, you're going to be bored as hell if you just all of a sudden started, like you watch one of my What I Eat in a Day videos and you start going from standard American to eating what I eat, right now. Why? Because like I say, it's almost like you're It's almost like having a dependency on something like smoking or whatever. Your taste buds are corrupted. You're not going to taste, you don't taste a mango like I taste a mango. You don't taste a clean salad like I taste a clean salad, or like somebody else that has, gotten rid of some of the things out of their diet. Yep, I'm checking. You know what? I was watching a little thing, just a little side note here, and it was we're getting real deep into some YouTube stuff about should I use a teleprompter, and I'm like, you guys know I'm senile, so I'm going to bend in and I'm going to look at my notes from time to time and see if I'm covering all the bullet points. Listen, I'm always satisfied on this lifestyle. Why? Am I something special? No, I'm not special at all. The reason I love all my food, and it's not like, sometimes I talk about this too. I think people see us eating, especially when we're eating very plain stuff, or like how excited we get about just eating mangoes and bananas sometimes. It's a process, I actually love my food. Don't ever make the mistake, wherever you are on your journey, how much experience or how much you've watched me, and think like, oh, that's just somebody, he's got extreme discipline, he's able to do this. No, I love everything I eat. I had my mango, red pepper, and tahini dressing last night. And that's as good as it gets for me. I'm not sitting around thinking, okay, this is a nice substitute. I'm thinking like, I can't think of anything cooked or with, ingredients that I don't tend to eat. I can't think of something out there that oh, this is a substitute for that. I'd prefer to have that, but I've got this. And that's because I've been through the stages. I've gotten a lot of that goop out of my body. But Jack, food addictions, but my cheese but my meat, but I love my meat. How do I give up my meat? And then when I get here, blah, 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 blah. What do you think? Like, guys, listen to people like me, listen to other YouTubers, listen to our backstory. You're just seeing what you see now. And that's why I almost want to throw up a before and after all the time, even though that's overkill. Or like I almost want to pump some of my backstory into almost every video I do, because it was a process. It was a process. I didn't go from back there a broken down drunk, eating fried chicken, just doing horrid things. Boom, all of a sudden I just manifested this overnight. It's been a process. It's been getting the stuff out of my body. And even though I'm not a big talker on detox, yes, it's about detox. It's about a lot of, getting a lot of the substances out of my body. Because listen, this is totally not scientific, but there's a lot of stuff that's even in our brain cells and in different cells of our body that it takes a long, long, long time to work those things out of the body. But yeah, that just gets me when people talk about, and I was joking about this with somebody recently about my meat, my cheese, but Jack, my meat, my cheese, or this or that, or like when just a mere 6 years ago, I used to smoke meat. I used to work in, I did barbecue with I worked for a guy, I was kind of his partner. I was doing the barbecue. During football season, chicken wings. I lived on chicken wings during football season. Chicken wings dipped. We'll even go into your cheesy things here. Chicken wings dipped in blue cheese. So I'm not coming from some pristine, like hippie background, with hippie parents where I was raised on fruit and granola and all this stuff my whole life. No, I've been where everybody else is. I mean, yeah, and I remember I remember even before I went raw vegan, when I started on my kind of path of health and I started cleaning up, and I remember those stages of getting a little bit cleaner. I mean, it went from having my meat and the cheeses and stuff like that, to, at the time, I didn't know better. At the time, I was sauteing things in oil. So that was but they were vegetables and stuff in oil. So I was making steps. I was transitioning without knowing that I was transitioning. But I will guarantee you, I can say this with every fiber of my being, it is all about that process. You will never learn. You'll never, I don't care if you've got that memory where you can didactic, is it didactic memory? It's not photographic memory, but anyhow, you know what I'm talking about. If you can memorize 200 recipes, if you know 200 recipes, if you're good in the kitchen with 200 recipes, that's not going to get you there to where you're satisfied on this lifestyle. Listen, you can watch the videos over and over. If you want to keep going over the science, or if you want to hear somebody do another video on where you get your protein, calcium, are you getting enough B12? Is there too much sugar in fruit? Well, I can give you 3 or 4 books on that. You know, the resources are out there, and then you have to, I mean, you have to discern and say if you believe that particular science. But the science has been talked about ad nauseum. It's out there, you know. So, you know, why would I do a whole lot of, you know, like, in other words, what I'm saying it's the process. It's the process. It's the process. If you trust me on that, like I say, I could kidnap you here, and I guarantee you against your will, but in the end, you'd thank me. I'm guaranteeing you could go fully raw vegan. Boom. Maybe if I even came to your town. What if I came to your town and stayed with you for a month or two? I'd get you there. Now, get granted, depending on where you live, I'm not like fanatic about fully raw. You might be living somewhere, and I might make some suggestions like, well, I'm not sure this is the optimal thing for you to be fully raw here, but we're going to get you to the best version of eating that you can do where you are. And don't get me wrong, before anybody chimes in, if you wanted to be fully raw, we'll show you how to do it in any climate, because there's people doing it in Canada, there's people doing it in areas of Europe where they're not getting fresh fruit all the time, so it's possible. But proactive. Don't you just hate how I repeat myself over and over and over and over? It's like you got to commit to that system. You got to commit to like working on it. Dare I say, you just got to commit to working on it. I was trying to make an analogy there, but that's probably not the best analogy that I could ever come up with. But yeah, anyhow, that's that. If you're not satisfied on the raw vegan lifestyle, there's reasons. There's things you can do about it. There's ways to work through it. It's not going to be fancy. You're not going to have, look, you can't just sit around, listen, you're not going to be able to. The reason I say over and over that you need a plan is I see so many people, they're just floundering. In other words, they're just kind of hoping and praying. They don't really know what they're doing. And you can see this by their comments, by things they're doing in groups, by their kind of desperate reaching out and asking for questions. And you're almost like, well, you're in this group or you're in this area. Don't you kind of know this? Got to commit to that process. It's not the sexy part of this lifestyle, and it's kind of slow, and it's just kind of plodding through. But to me, it's the fun part. Anyhow, I feel like today, maybe Friday afternoons is weird energy. I feel like I'm definitely a little kind of quirky with this one. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up. And I hope you have a wonderful day. See you again tomorrow. Peace.